Hi there, my name's Larry Achiampong, and welcome to The Mic Drop. The Mic Drop is a collaborative podcast with the sole purpose of creating a space for migrants, by migrants, exercising agency and exchange for a shared space of collective thinking, storytelling, and debate. It is created for a long-term collaboration between members of Many Hands, One Heart, and myself, supported by Heart of Glass.
Welcome to another sessions of the Mic Drop. This is Mohammed Taher. I've done several interviews for this project with the members of the Many Hands, One Heart, which is a group supporting people seeking asylum, refugees from LGBT community. But this session is going to be a bit different from all the other sessions I've done, because this is with someone from my own country. I'm from Iran. Parsa is from Iran as well. Then, apart from that, that we come from the same country, there's a lot of differences between both of us, which hopefully we're going to develop and talk about it today. I'm a 60-year-old man, and Parsa is a young 24 years old man. And he's, as I said, he's seeking asylum here on his sexuality and his religion. Welcome to this session, Parsa. How are you today?
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here amongst you. Thank you for inviting me, Emily and Brittany. And I'm Parsa. I'm from south of Iran, and I'm here today to do this talk about life in Iran as a gay and that.
Yeah, okay. I come from Tehran, the capital, and basically I can tell you a little about, I come from Shemran, which is north of Tehran. It's near the mountains. Snows about 2-3 meters every winter. You can get out of your house, It's very cold, and sort of like, the image that people got about Iran, is just very different from where I grew up. You come from the south, Khuzestan.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah, which city you come from?
I'm from the city Shustar.
Yeah, okay.
It's south of Iran.
Yeah.
And so Khuzestan for gays, LGBTQ is a little scary. The name is scary.
That's right.
Because people are conservative, and the tribes that live there, reside there, they are very homophobic, and they're open to they're not open to other ideologies rather than their own ideologies or political beliefs or religions or sexual orientations. Basically, gay or LGBTQ is not defined in their ideology and their perception of life.
I think that's probably the case in everywhere in Iran. Is basically the regime is they've got a lot of laws against anyone who's not complying with their sort of like what is normal. Okay, I admit that probably Tehran is a little more in regard, if we call it progressive, but than
it
some
is
of the cities.
Surely more progressive.
But it's just like talking about your city. Just tell us the population, how big it is. If I know for the fact that it's very, very hot. It's roasting there. It's I remember once I went to when I was a kid. I went to Khuzestan, and it was probably in the summer because it was just like hell. And I could actually I remember actually the floor was melting as we were walking in the streets. So it was that hot it was. Just wanted to ask you actually a little bit about where you come from. Where you lived back home in Iran. Tell us a little bit about the city and where you come from.
I'm from south of Iran, southwest of Iran. The province is called Khuzestan, and the city is called Masjid Suleiman. That's where I was born. But I grew up in a different city, Shustar. And Khuzestan is hot in the summer.
Extremely hot.
Temperature gets to 55 degrees. You can basically roast an egg in 10 minutes. Even your brain gets damaged 5 minutes under the sun. It boils and melts away. And people are warm-hearted, but very conservative, and except part of Ahvaz, which is the capital, the other cities are not progressive. They're backward because the people are backward. They're more religious and they're not open to new things. So out of my luck, I was born in that city, in the south of Iran.
And obviously, you had a lot of problems in regard to your sexuality and where you live because people didn't accept that. Is that right? Yeah.
And that is true. And you mentioned something about Tehran being more progressive than the Khuzestan. I have seen families that I know everybody. Same-sex attraction, homosexuality is not legal in that country, and the punishment for that is execution by the state. The state does that, simply is not accepted, not at all, not even little. But the families
As well.
in the north of the country, especially Tehran, as you said, Shemran, they are much better. They're much educated, more than the south. The south will not, if, for example, a child has in his youth, he wants to be feminine. His identity is showing in that certain age. The family stops it. No, you cannot go dance. You must play football.
That's
You
right.
cannot have dolls like Barbie dolls because you're a boy. That is ridiculous. You must have cars or I don't know. You know basically what I mean. So they shape your characteristics. They force what they believe as what you need to be in that certain age. But you don't see that in the north, in Tehran. I have seen. I had a friend in Austria. His name is Moin. Basically, he just survived the cancer. He's gay and he's very brave and powerful. He's like he's the hero to me because he been through a lot in his life. And he said, my family always accepted me as a gay. I was feminine. He's a man. He's pronounced as he and his, but he says that I was feminine. I like.
Where was he from? Was he from Tehran?
Tehran. And his mother and father are doctors.
Well, it comes from education as well.
Yeah.
Middle class and sometimes from class as well. But I definitely agree with you that certain parts of Tehran, not everywhere, it could be a little more easier for people, especially in regard to the families and friends. Than I mean, when I lived in Iran, I left Iran when I was 17. And it was always sort of like, used to... I'm actually think about that quite a lot. I was really ashamed of the way I behaved, or we behaved as a group, toward one of our classmates who was a bit feminine and camp, and I remember that, even the teacher used to make fun of him, and we all used to laugh, something that as I said, after 40 years, so I still feel really guilty about. And I think it was really ironic or funny about the whole thing was that because we were all in the boys' school, there was no sort of like, even like in the short time, we didn't have, it was very difficult to have a relationship with the gay. A lot of boys, they used to go to the toilet and do all sorts of sexual acts with each other, But if you call them, if you call the person, gay, which is the word in Iran is kuni, then it would be like, basically they would punch you in the face, So there was all that sort of a stigma attached to it, but everyone sort of like knew that like certain people are doing it anyway. So was that same for you? Was it sort of like, when you grow up, did you feel that, you were different? When did you actually realize that you were different? And how did they react to you? If anyone from your friends, classmates and all that, obviously you explained about your family, but, I'm just trying to see what was it like to grow up in that city, in that sort of environment?
Well, especially in my case, since middle school, I had a classmate. His name was Shayan, and he was a little feminine, and he had sexual desires for boys, and also boys loved him and liked him very much. And soon he lost his respect because the boys that had relationship with him, they obviously made him become notorious, and they said bad stuff behind his back. And I was watching him before I became an adult, before my adulthood, before my self-realization of being gay. I was thinking, okay, I'm not gonna be like that, and that boy deserves it, because why he does that with other boys? This is bad, the way he is, and the boys are treating him the way he deserves it. But then I realized, wow, after in the age of 16, between 15 and 16, when I realized that I don't like girls. I'm becoming just like Cheyenne, and that's who I am. I had a lot of problems accepting it, but I felt so close with him, and I felt all his pain, what he's having through, but I never wanted to be treated that way.
So you kept this like secret from other friends you had in the school?
For a short time, yes. I had to do that for a short time, but in my university time, I couldn't just take it. I wanted to be who I am, and I was dealing with depression and anxiety, and I just wanted to practice freely. I saw my neighbor going out with his girlfriend, but I just couldn't choose the person who I want to spend time with. It. If I invited somebody in my house, everybody would have thought, wow, 2 boys went inside the house. What's going to happen there? You know what I mean? I realized that I'm gay at the age of 16, but I couldn't practice my same-sex attraction because I didn't have freedom, and the culture was not open. And whatever the culture was teaching me, the family, the friends, the school, was against LGBT identity, and it wasn't welcome.
And when was, like, you know, if you want to talk a little bit about your relationship, did you have any relationship with other men or boys when you were like 16, 17? Or when did you actually have have relationship with other same-sex relationship?
In my high school time, I couldn't have a relationship because I was dealing with my identity. I was finding out what I am and what's wrong with me, because that's what they were teaching us. You are wrong if you do this. It's wrong. And religion was so strong. You see that Islamic God talking about what to do and what not to do. If you do that, what's the punishment on earth and what the punishment on the other side. And there was literally nobody who could tell you that you're gay. So you just basically knew, all right, you like boy, you like the boy, but you didn't know that this type of thinking and behavior it has a name and it's identity and it's real, it's accepted. But we didn't know that. As you said, that kind of boy, like me or Cheyenne, called Chuni, means faggot, is those who like to have sex with other boys. So that was pretty much everything that we knew about being gay. We didn't accept it as an identity in that time. So I was having a lot of problems finding out what I am, and I hated myself. Most of the time, all of the time, and I felt regret when I was watching a porn that was gay porn, or thinking about having sex with a boy that I go to school with. There were not one. There were in my school. There were 2 in my class that they had same-sex attraction. And I was thinking, should I approach? Should I not approach? Should I go and tell them I'm like you? Will they tell the others will they gonna hurt me because they have nothing to lose? For me, if my father finds out, he would kill me. If my uncle finds out he's crazy, he has no job, no education, he would definitely won't accept this. He called my cousins and they will cut my head. They do it every time, and they're killing people for same-sex attraction or changing the religion. It's pretty normal.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit about, what is it like in general, not just for the gay people, what's it like in Iran, just to give an idea what to the people that, for example, as you said, you come from very hot part of Iran, and, women, they have to cover themselves lots of times with very dark or black cover over their head and all that. So that's obviously, it's going to be really sort of banned if you just basically want to go and show your body or stuff like that. And that's probably happens for the men as well. You just mentioned about porn. I sometimes watch porn here. There's no law against it. But what would happen, for example, to you if you were caught, not by your parents, or you can tell us what happened if you by parents, but what would happen if, like in the government or people, authorities, with Revolutionary Guards, or is it Basij, they find out that you were like watching porn, or you were, sort of have some sort of sexual feelings or stuff like that.
Yeah, well, according to the Islam, it's the punishment for this is not as equal as adultery, but it is punishable by lashes, right? And I had a friend who had a computer shop, and he was distributing movies, lending movies. People came, gave him their identity card, and he lent them movies. And he had a computer, in his hard drive he had pornos, because he also had special type of customers who he distributed pornos for them. And one time they rat him out, and the intelligence service, or they were secret service. They came and they took all his stuff in custody, and later he went to jail. He went to jail and he got beaten up in the prison, because he had only pornos in his hard drive, but they labeled him more things.
Yeah.
You are promoting the Western.
Well, that's as well, you're promoting anything to do with West. But what you were saying before in regard to your sexuality, you said, you suffer from depression, anxiety, because of your sexuality, So you couldn't basically, you said you watch porn, but it's something that you basically were risking. So that's itself for a young person, that was a risky business to do that. Could you drink alcohol?
In Iran, drinking alcohol is forbidden. Basically, there is no place where you can buy alcohol. It is illegal, and you have to find alcohol in drug dealers. Yes. And it's hard to find alcohol in Iran. They're very low quality.
What would happen to you if you were like, we just before, earlier on, in Liverpool, it was a nice sunny day, and a group of us, we went for a picnic. Men, women, young, old, and we have a laugh and joke. What would happen to you as a young man if you were in Iran and you went, and it was a nice sunny day, and you went to the park with a group of friends? What would happen to you if that happened?
Well, as long as everybody are same sex, like women with women and men with women,
you couldn't do that.
They don't face trouble. But if women and men are mixed and they are having a party together or going out together, they're either people or the police who have to interfere and make problems for them.
And again, I have figures in my head about unemployment, especially in the young people, because I think where I read somewhere that Iran is one of the youngest country in the world. More than half of the population of the country, they're under 30 or something like that. So it's a very, very young country in regard to the population. And another thing I know, well, you can confirm if I'm wrong, it's the unemployment is quite high, especially in the young people. So can you just explain, I don't know if you were working, what you were doing, but is it easy to get jobs? Is it, Is it to have some sort of social life? All that, you just explain a little more for us to see what it was like. I want to know, because I've been off for about 40 years.
Well, Iran's population is young in age, that is true, but people in their heart and in their mind, they are growing old day and day because they're losing their hope to live. Poetry is making everything hard in that country, and the corruption that is inside the system of the authorities in that country is making everything hard. Right now, when I'm talking about that, I'm having flashbacks. They're mild, but I remember myself living in that society, and I was a student, and I was always supported by my parents. But there were people struggling for food, jobs, money. There is no chance for them to live in that country.
Yeah, the studying as well. My sister, when she was in university, she's always laugh and jokes quite loud. And basically she was told that if she laughs loud, they throw her out of university. Also, another thing is, again, if you're politically active against regime, then there's a good chance that you get thrown out of the university as well. The way picture I want to sort of like us to imagine is what it is like for a young man who's, is not like everybody else in regard to sexuality, but also what it's like to live. You can't drink, alcohol. You can't go out, enjoy yourself. You can't really find a job. It's very difficult for you to study. You mentioned about the corruption, because at the same time you see a lot of people that they are doing things, what they want to do, because they've got relatives or their parents' father is, I don't know, is in the governmental jobs and also. So that is what I'm really interested to see how you felt in regard to, you actually mentioned about no hope, but anything you could just see, it was any way out in Iran, or it could actually survive in Iran, sort of thing.
Well, for me as a homosexual, I don't think I could survive in my childhood, only because I had a horrible childhood, and later I had to leave the country because of severe problems and threats.
Do you want to tell us a little about why it was horrible, or you don't want to touch on that? It's up to you.
Well, we can do this next question. So I was saying, as a homosexual, it is hard because literally nobody understands you and nobody wants to understand you. You're born wrong. You're not worthy of living because of what you believe, because of what you are. I'm gay, this is my identity, and it only concerns my bed. Like, I can have a job, I can be a teacher, a professor, and that doesn't affect my life. But I want to have a man in my bed instead of a woman, but they don't want it. So you feel like you're isolated. There is nobody there to understand you or to want you for who you are. And even if you find the right man for you, so you can fall in love with, that man could have many motives and reasons to hurt you, to abuse you, to manipulate you, because it is not legal. You are not doing a legal thing. You're not living with dignity.
You're living a lie.
A lie life, and you must hide yourself. If they find out, they're gonna kill you. There's no way they're gonna let you alive. If government finds out, they're gonna kill you. If your brother finds out, if your father finds out, they're gonna kill you because you simply lose your worth for being a gay. That goes for women as well. A woman has to be a mother. A man has to be a father. That's all they know. And they must be together. That's what they believe. But if you are something that they don't want, you cannot live there. As a child, your life is suppressed, and they will beat you to act like a man, to be like a man. But maybe I wasn't always like this. Maybe I look less feminine. 'Cause although I don't believe that gays must be feminine, we have gay men like Wentworth Miller. He's a great man, and he's not feminine, but he's a gay and he's a man. His pronouns is he and his. But when I left my country, and when I had to flee that country, I saw the real life. I saw that I must not be weak. I was weak for a year and a half, and I lost my everything. A lot of things happened to me. A lot of bad things happened to me in that country. I lost my monies. My mother sold her golds, took a loan from me, because she was the only one who she wasn't 100% supportive in my life, because she's educated, maybe that's why, but I'm her son. And she loves me, I think. Although we barely talk together, she told me, now you're in a safe country. Make us proud. And I'm hoping to go to university and finish my studies. Maybe I can find worth and value in their eyes.
We'll talk about your future plans as well.
I should not get distracted.
No, it's all right. It's interesting. I'm just talking about your mother. I remember another Iranian gentleman who was actually probably was the first gay man that I met from Iran in Liverpool, who actually said the same thing. That he said, first of all, when his father found out that he slept with a man, he was okay because he thought it was just one-off. Like as I said, a lot of boys in the school, they go on to the toilet, and then he actually had to say to his dad, no, Dad, I actually don't like women, I'm gay. They paid for him to come out, but they said they never want to see him again, and they never wanted him to come back. I remember he was like wearing a t-shirt, and it was very cold, and he didn't have money to buy a jacket, and he couldn't ask his family to buy a jacket for him. So just basically a little bit, just finalizing, tell us a little what you plan to do if you get the status here, if you become, obviously you'll be able to live here. What are the things that you want to do?
I just want to be worthwhile citizen of the society, because I choose to be in the UK, because my heart wasn't there. I was living in Austria, and my situation, mental health was horrible. I nearly made suicide, and they sent me to hospital. I was living in that village with 3 straight men and in a hostel, and there was no support for me in Austria. And I asked and I applied to see a solicitor, to see a psychologist, therapist, and I have their email still. They gave me an appointment for next year. So I couldn't speak with people because the language was German. I didn't have any friends. No support. There was one LGBT community in that area, and it was in this capital of the Steiermark, and it was far away from me. So my mental health deteriorated that I had to leave the country and come to UK, because I spoke this language, and I felt, okay, this is where I want to be. Now I want to live only. I want peace.
Are you in a relationship here?
Yes, I'm in a relationship now.
With an English gentleman? Right?
Yes, he's a doctor. He's a university professor.
Okay.
Yes.
And you want to go to university as well, did you say?
Yes, that's my plan for my future. I'm hoping to go to university, study computer science, because I was a student in Iran. I was a third-year student of bachelor, and I had to flee everything. I had to leave everything behind. In the middle of my studies, I only had 1 more year to get my undergraduate degree, and maybe I planned to go to Europe, but not like this, not to risk my life, not to lose everything. But it's just fate. Maybe God had a different plan for me. Although in that time I didn't believe in God, I was an atheist. I didn't care about religion or anything else. But now I'm a Christian. I became a Christian, so that's a fate. Fate wants me to be here, and I have big plans for my future. Study is one of them. finishing my studies, one of them.
And maybe get married.
Married?
Aren't you? You were mentioned something before to me in the car that you might plan to do that. No?
If I'm lucky, if I'm worthy, yeah, I should.
Anyway,
marry.
I think thanks very much for your time. It was quite interesting. One of the things we sort of realized, although there's a big gap in age, so I think we both like the same singer in Iran, Dariush, and we were singing the song before, and I was just thinking we could just finish with that song again. Is that okay with you?
Well, that's not my favorite song, but we can do that.
Okay, you sing your favorite song.
In Iran, we listen to Dariush.
You sing your
to
favorite
cry.
song, and I see if I can carry on with you.
Okay, so we listen to Dariush to cry. So when I felt down in my country, I needed to cry.
He's very negative.
I listen to Dariush and I cry the day.
So come on, do you want to sing your favorite song?
Should I sing now? All right.
Yeah.
Well, can we test this? Yeah? Right. So I want to sing now. The music is Cheshme Man, Dariush, and My Eyes. چشم من بیا منو یاری بکن گونه هام خشکیده شد کاری بکن غیر گریه مگه کاری میشه کرد کاری از ما نمیاد زاری بکن اون که رفته دیگه هیچ وقت نمیاد تا قیامت دل من گریه میخواد. That's very strong.
Fantastic.
My name's Larry Achiampong, and thank you for listening to The Mic Drop. If you'd like to listen to previous episodes of the series, or to tune in for more episodes coming through, please check out heartofglass.org.uk. Additionally, The Mic Drop can also be found at anchor.fm.